Welcome in to News and Views with Tom Lamprecht. The stories you've heard and the ones you need to hear.
This shooter to kill as many black people.
Buffalo is a cultural city.
The worst shooting in the city's history.
The city of Laguna Woods is so pleased.
I believe a group of churchgoers detained him and hogtied his legs.
And in cases like baby formula.
Babies crying in our country because they're hungry and the shelves are bare.
That is a major crisis.
Your life, your values, your voice. This is News and Views with Tom Lamprecht on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
All right, welcome in. You know, it's really curious, this shooting out in California. Is this a precursor to what might happen over between Taiwan and China? The man accused opening fire at that church in California is Chinese immigrant who allegedly is motivated by hate for the Taiwanese people. 68-year-old man accused of killing one and injuring 5 others before members of the Taiwanese congregation disarmed him and hogtied him. By the way, the sheriff out there gave kudos to the folks in that church. Apparently, they wrestled this guy to the ground, disarmed him, hogtied him. Unfortunately, he did critically injure 4 people, killed 1 individual. But it's really curious. Okay, I didn't realize that maybe this is an outlier, but do the Chinese hate the Taiwanese?
I think so, yeah.
I mean, I know the Chinese want to dominate the Taiwanese, but apparently they hate them.
Well, and apparently it was a Taiwanese or a Christian church full of Taiwanese people, from what I understand.
You know, a lot of times you'll see these, and you see it around here, where you'll have a Presbyterian church. They have their service at 11, and so they'll allow a different congregation that might be a minority group of some sort. I mean, you see Korean congregations meeting at churches, and they'll meet at 8 in the morning, and then the Presbyterian church will meet at 11 o'clock. I think it must have been one of those situations where this Geneva church, I think was the name of the church, was. I'm assuming that it was either a sub-congregation of that congregation, or they were perhaps just letting them use the facilities.
And you think about it, a church in particular, the Christian church, I mean, it's everything that Chinese Communist Party hates.
Yeah.
And
yeah, you're right.
So I guess, but it's amazing you really hadn't heard much about it. Compared, I mean, I know, yes, the Buffalo shooting was tragic and
well, it's horrendous. I mean, 10 people killed.
Yes, but when I went this morning, that's of course all in the headlines, and you have to kind of really dig down deep in the other websites like CNN and NBC. I mean, it's not kind of front page news to them.
Well, what's interesting is, initially it came out that this guy was a conservative.
Oh yeah, they're going to jump to that conclusion.
Yeah. And guess what? Peel back the layers of the onions, it finds out that this guy hates conservatives and wanted conservatives to look bad. But it's
I couldn't get over last night, let's see, when the Buffalo shooting happened. It happened Saturday, right?
Yeah, it really hit the news big time yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday morning.
Saturday night, I think it happened.
But how everyone was jumping, and when I say everyone, the liberal media, just jumping on the whole, pointing fingers at Tucker Carlson and Fox News. Good grief!
Yeah. Well, we got more on that. I've got some audio from the new press secretary, and boy. The theme of today's, and look, we go through the stories, and a theme emerges from the stories we come up with, but boy, the racism coming from the left, they call it systemic racism, and it is, but it's not coming from conservatives.
It's amazing to me. I've got some friends that are fairly left of center, is to put it mildly, and they'll bring up things like, I don't watch Fox News, it's racist, it's this, it's that. I said, when was the last time you watched Fox News? Well, I don't watch Fox News. I said, well, how do you know? How do you know what it says? It's
same thing they said about Rush Limbaugh for years. Never listened to him, but he's a racist. So today is the eve of Election Day, and boy, there is a lot of folks running. And again, the Hank and Henry, I think, are fairly pleased with the number of ads that were purchased in this election cycle. And of course, The question is, in this first congressional district race, Gesundheit, will anybody get 30%? You've got 8 candidates in there. It appears that, and I think the polling is pretty iffy because any polling we've got is several weeks old at this point, and they've really come out throwing punches big time. The Sandys are throwing punches at each other. Billy Strickland is questioning Sandy Robertson's conservative credentials after he cut checks to Josh Stein, who's the Attorney General. So it's going to be interesting if this gets, over the finish line with someone getting 30%. I sort of think it's not going to happen at this point.
I would be surprised. I mean, if a candidate gets 30%, it's just going to be barely 30%, I would think.
It was interesting. I was talking to a friend of mine who originally is from the Roanoke Rapids area, and he was up there a couple of days ago, and District 1 goes all the way up into that area. And he said the only signs he saw out there were from Brent Robertson, who we had on Friday, and he said he had hundreds of signs up in that area, but that's the only one. Now, obviously, that's not where the majority of the people live, but if that's any indication to the rest of the rural parts of the district, perhaps we might get a surprise. There might be a lot of rural voters that vote in one direction.
Now how long has the percentage been 30? Wasn't it 40% for years as far as what you had to do to avoid a runoff?
I don't remember.
Oh.
I can't say with any certainty. The polls will open tomorrow morning in most cities across eastern North Carolina at 6:30. That includes Greenville, Jacksonville, and New Bern. Interestingly, the News and Observer came out with their recommendations their endorsements over the weekend. Did you see who they endorsed for the U.S. Senate race in the Republican Party? Mark Walker. So,
really? I did not see that. I missed that.
Yeah, Mark Walker. Which I believe me, I don't trust the News and Observer as far as I could throw them. And the fact that they endorsed Mark Walker, they probably think that's the best bet for getting the Democrat elected.
Well, the cynic in me and what they spew out in that fish wrap they call the News and Observer, I would think there would be something that they have a motive for endorsing any kind of candidate that's a Republican.
Oh, yeah, other than really wanting to see that individual win. Interesting note on the Carolina Journal website. They don't know why, but the Carolina Journal has been kicked off of Facebook. Now this is the primary, so I'd like to blame it on the fact that it's election time, but it's the primary, so I'm not sure why they would be kicked off, and they don't know why they've been kicked off. But we do know they're very conservative, and boy, they do such a good job not only digging into the issues, but I will say, and look, I have no vested interest except for the fact that the folks up there have always been very kind to us and always willing to come on and discuss the issues with us. But, I think to myself, these guys really do a good job investigating, and they're pretty kind and winsome. I mean, they'll tell it like it is, but they do it in a winsome fashion where you don't feel like, okay, you're really insulting the opposition. But apparently the Facebook folks didn't like something that they said, and they are now in Facebook jail. It's like, who cares?
I don't think we've been in Facebook jail, but we have.
What? Oh, we have
YouTube?
Been.
We have
been? Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It might have been a while, but.
But I know we've been kicked off before on some platforms when the things that we apparently said are now common knowledge that it was facts.
Big time.
It's just kind of. It's just that big tech trying to control politics and control the narrative.
You're in business for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in business for myself. I've been in business for myself for 36 years, back to 1986. And I am not claiming to be any kind of business genius. My decisions have not all been the right decisions, and I will acknowledge I've made mistakes. But I don't think I've ever made as big a mistake as Sports Illustrated is making. Now, I know we have very conservative listeners, and I'm sure many of our listeners look at the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue and say that's nothing but light porn. It doesn't belong anywhere. but
I couldn't tell you.
In the name of being woke, get woke, go broke. Sports Illustrated, for their swimsuit issue, on the cover of the issue, I think they got two different covers. One is a 74-year-old dietitian. The other is a large, obese, dangerously obese woman. That's what they have on the cover for their Sports Illustrated.
Now, that's not Elon Musk's mother, is it? The dietitian.
I have no clue.
I think I read where Elon Musk's mother was.
It might be. Mae Musk.
Yeah,
I guess it is.
Yeah, she was a dietitian and model.
Yeah. Mae Musk.
Mm-hmm. That's his mother.
Now, listen, I am sure they're very nice people. And quite frankly, but this kind of thing is like Fox Sports putting on the assisted living shuffleboard finals instead of the Super Bowl. I'm sorry. I look at this, I think, wait a minute, what are you trying to prove here? I mean, is it a woke issue or an equal rights issue or what? I look at this, I'm thinking, have you lost your mind?
Yeah, Mae Musk. Yeah, that's her. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't know where you were going this. I didn't know if you were going to say that, let's just say they had some special equipment in the trunks or something. I didn't know what you were going to say.
I mean, no, get that off the screen. Well, you're going to get us in trouble there.
So now,
although it is the cover of Sports Illustrated. If you're watching on the cable or Facebook or Rumble or whatever we're on these days.
What is it? I can't define porn, but I know what it is when I see it or something.
Yeah, that was the late. Well, that's what the Supreme Court Justice.
It was. Yeah.
The first black Supreme Court Justice.
Marshall?
Thurgood Marshall. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's sort of funny with that. Thurgood Marshall was, I mean, this is fact. Don't get mad at me. His contemporaries, when they were looking through these pornography cases, he did his homework on researching the case by watching a lot of the film. So I'll say, watching a lot of the film. Hey, we're going to take a time out. Lots more to talk about on Monday's edition of News and Views. Love to hear from you. 561-8255. We'll be right back.
Reserve it, then ride home in it at Greenville Toyota. Camrys, Corollas, Tundra trucks, RAV4s, and more are on the way. Reserve yours before it's gone. Plus, get more for your trade. Reserve and ride today at Greenville Toyota.
Hey, we're at Maribella's in Greenville, the new location of Maribella's on Fire Tower Road. If you haven't been to this place yet, let me tell you, you are missing out. I want to introduce my friends from Maribella's. I've got Sal, Massimo, and Pietro here. These guys are awesome. Not only do they make great food, they do a lot of things for the community, which we're going to be talking about. But Sal, let's start with you. Let's talk about the new location of Maribella's on Fire Tower Road. I'm a regular here. I love it. You guys call it Old World Pizza. Tell us what's different about your pizza.
Well, we got two kinds of pizzas. We have the traditional, American style, and then we have the Old World Pizza, which is made with fresh mozzarella, and the way they do it in Italy.
Massimo, when you talk about doing this food right, it's authentic. And when I talk about authentic, you grew up in Italy, so you grew up with this food. You know how to make it.
Yeah, because we grew up in Italy, we know the ingredient, and everything we do from scratch. And the right ingredient it's been hard for us to bring over here. And now finally we can get the right ingredient to make a right pizza.
All right, now I'm going to talk to my friend Pietro here at Maribella's. He's got the Nino's shirt on today. We're going to talk about Nino's, which is another great dining experience, upscale dining experience, on another segment upcoming. But Pietro, let's talk about Maribella's. For people who've never been to Maribella's, what's the experience going to be like when they come here? Not only pizzas, but pastas, salads, sandwiches, you got it all.
Yes, we do. We have new sandwiches that we put in this new location, and we're going to spread it to the other locations.
The guys here at Maribella's have won national pizza competitions, so you know it's good. Thanks to Sal, Massimo, and Pietro. Folks, do yourself a favor. Come to the new Maribella's here on Fire Tower Road in Greenville, or Maribella's on Greenville Boulevard, or Maribella's in Washington on Carolina Avenue. Also, don't forget upscale dining at Nino's on Red Banks Road.
Reserve and ride your pre-owned vehicle at Greenville Toyota. Shop a huge selection of quality used cars, trucks, SUVs, even luxury models. All with no charge maintenance, plus a 100,000-mile used car warranty. Reserve and ride at Greenville Toyota.
News and views.
He's kind of a diva.
He's absolutely fascinating.
Ultimate gentleman spy. Irresistible to women, deadly to his enemies, a legend in his own time.
You won't believe what he's going to say next on Talk 96.3 and 103.7. Here's Tom Lempreck.
Welcome back in. It is National Barbecue Day. You know, you wonder why Americans are so overweight. Every day, there's some National Food Day out here. National Barbecue Day does sound pretty good, though. Taking a look at your weather forecast, partly cloudy this afternoon and into tonight. There is a chance for more thunderstorms. Wow, the thunderstorm that came through about 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Woo! I mean, it was quick, but man, it was windy, and I was expecting to see a tornado or something. It was got wild and woolly there for a little bit. Chance of rain overnight, 90%. Tomorrow, sunny, a high near 84 with clear skies. Wednesday, sunshine with a few clouds, a high near 85. So really the rest of the week after today, all the way up through Sunday. It looks like Sunday's a slight chance of rain, about a 30% chance of rain, but lots of sunshine and pleasant weather. It does get hot towards the end of the week. But
yeah, that's 94
on Friday.
In May. That's serious for May.
I'm not going to complain about the heat, though. I tell you, it's been so long in coming to consistently be warm. I mean, this is the first week, I think, this year that it's been in the 80s or 90s all week long.
You know, yesterday afternoon was really warm. I mean, it's comfortable, but it was warm. But,
a little breeze.
But last night, when it cooled down with that breeze, I mean, that was perfect.
Yeah.
You know, I hate to be picky, but I would take that year round. You know, 85. Get down to 60, 65.
It ain't happening in Eastern North Carolina, buddy.
No, 85 by...
A lot of people would take that.
85 by 7:30 in the morning.
This out from Fox News. You know, up in New York, the state of New York, they have had a battle back and forth drawing these maps.
Yeah, they got him a special master up there, too, don't they?
They do. And I don't know how it worked out. And I don't know what the state constitution in New York says. I mean, our constitution here is pretty clear that it is up to the legislature to draw the maps. And that's never been an issue until the Republicans became in charge of the map drawing. Suddenly it's an issue. In New York, the Democrats put together, and by the way, I'll even back up and say in North Carolina, and I know people are going to say, well, that's your opinion, Tom. Yes, it is my opinion. But my opinion is the North Carolina legislature drew a very fair map. They tried to keep the counties whole. And you look at the maps, and I thought they were very fair. In fact, the masters that came in and redrew them, you know, it wasn't. It was then more favorable to the Democrats that were running, but it wasn't highly favorable. I mean, there wasn't a partisan, a huge swing 180 degrees in the other way. It was an adjustment. But in New York, the Democrats put together a map that was highly, highly partisan in favor of the Democrats. And a judge came in and said, no, this is not fair. This is not equitable. They've redrawn the maps. The Democrats protested. They took it back to court. They tried to appeal, let our map stand. You know, the governor up there, Hochul, and that's her name, Kathy Hochul.
Something like that.
Hochul, or anyway, she signed on to them, said, "Oh yeah, this is great. I approve them." And the courts came in and said no, and they have now drawn new maps. They've got their own, as you say, a map master, and this looks like it's going to be a fair map that really takes the wind out of the sails for the Democrats. The first map had placed Democrats in a clearly favored position in 22 of the state's 26 districts. One development from the proposed map would complicate the existing makeup of the House. It would also place House Judiciary Committee Jerry Nadler and House Oversight Committee Chairwoman Carolyn Maloney in the same district, which is great news because that means we're going to get rid of one of the two, either overweight Jerry or crazy Carol. Anyway, it's sort of fun to see them get gored with the spear they created.
Yeah, I don't know how much time you spend in New York, but you get outside the metro areas, well, except for, Albany any metro, Albany.
Yeah, you get upstate New York, it's quite conservative.
Yeah, very conservative, and rural and agricultural, and kind of really no different than parts of eastern North Carolina and western North Carolina,
except
really.
a lot colder. Yeah, my grandparents were actually from up around outside of Syracuse in Fayetteville, New York.
Cool.
And that's
a good
up
reason
there,
to move south.
Up there where the Finger Lakes are in the New York area, and they
have those 4-day lake effect snows and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, they'd get snow in October, and it would be on the ground until April.
Yeah, no part of that.
So as a little guy growing up, I spent a lot of time up there. Speaking of maps and elections and whatnot, interesting new developments more and more on the election improprieties in the 2020 election. I really do think at the end of the day, eventually truth, you've got to push your false narrative down to make it stick. And eventually the truth is going to come popping back up. Well, Western Journal has got an article out today just talking about, even in Louisiana, apparently Mark Zuckerberg tried to dump in a bunch of money into Louisiana, and the attorney general down there, a guy by the name of Jeff Landry, really jumped on this quickly. And fortunately, who knows whether we'd have John Kennedy in the U.S. Senate today if Zuckerberg had gotten away with what he was trying to do in Louisiana. They managed to stop most of that. But apparently there's a lot of proof popping up and coming out that there were some improprieties done big time.
I read that article, and I've been saving the election stuff since the 2020 election. I just had to pull back in my file. And North Carolina, the Republicans pretty much won handily everything except for the governor's race. And, was there anything else they lost that was either on a national or either judicial race?
That was one of the other reasons why it was so odd that Roy Cooper won and Pat McCrory lost.
But I wonder what really happened, because when I look back, I just pulled out a memo from the state executive director of the North Carolina Board of Elections that was issued back in August and September based on the lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look back at how little they basically had to prove absentee ballots, and that kind of happened all over the state based on some of those same lawsuits that Mark Elias and the other ones filed. When I look back at a memo to all this county board of elections, I'm like, gosh, how many votes were really fraudulent votes? It was a lot of holes there. It's just, and I think more and more of this stuff in these states, Arizona, Georgia's, where the guys were denying everything in Georgia. There's more and more information, drip, drip, drip on that. Nevada, Wisconsin, pretty much everywhere that was in play.
Well, we got to keep an eye on this trial for Michael Sussman, who was with Perkins Coie and was working for Hillary Clinton and lied about it. I don't have a client. I'm just trying to do my patriotic duty by going to the FBI and making up these outlandish stories about Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really going to be interesting is to see who else gets caught up in the net. And, wouldn't it be sweet if Elias got caught up in it? Because that guy has done more to damage election integrity than anybody else
Well, you
in
believe
this country.
one thing you can give the Democrats their praise for. They know how to lawyer up, and it's hard to out-lawyer them. Just the facts. But I can tell you, if he gets close to where, okay, there's going to be some jail time. There's going to be some names released. There's going to be some deals cut. I promise you.
It's interesting how people around the Clintons end up dead.
I'm exhausted.
Because guys that wear pocket squares and bow ties don't fare well in prison.
No.
I'm just saying.
We're going to take another time out. When we get back, the newly installed White House press secretary, Jean-Pierre. Yeah, she is going around calling everyone that wears a GOP badge a racist. There's good news and there's bad news related to that. We'll talk about it when we get back.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you farm to fork beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Fantastic Sam's Cut and Color is hiring stylists. If you're driven, creative, and ready to make an impact, then we're looking for you. We offer competitive salaries, flexible schedules, and professional training with the newest technologies and equipment in the industry. Stop by your local Fantastic Sam's today and show us what you've got. Apply at locations in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Morehead City, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Fantastic Sam's, real salon experience, real savings, real fantastic.
It's only 8 a.m. and it's going to be another hot one. Today's high is 85 degrees with lows ranging in the upper 50s. Tomorrow's more of the same, plus some light wind coming in from the northeast. Coming up at 8:30, Paul's got an exclusive.
Babe, it's 8 a.m.
Fried chicken, better with Pepsi.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers in Greenville, plus the all-new Tiebreakers in Winterville. Do real burgers better than anybody. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, real burgers at its best.
Everybody loves burgers.
Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport.
Here is today's secret message.
I could tell today's message was really important.
Ready your decoder rings.
Aha, B. The first letter is B. U, I. It was getting easier now. L, D, build. Build what?
Hurry up in there.
What was it? The fate of the country may hang in the balance.
Decode the day's news.
Build back better? A crummy socialist bill.
With Tom and Benny on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
Welcome back in. So we were talking during the break, just sort of a follow-through from what we talked about going into the break, what happened here in North Carolina with Mark Elias and him up there cozying up with the Board of Elections, acting like, okay, you know, we're really having to twist the arms of the Board of Elections. And if you remember, we had a couple of Republicans up there that got really the raw end of the stick. And, of course, Mark Elias got to be buddies with Josh Stein. But Benny was reading over some of the things that they sent out to the Board of Elections across the state and how they were supposed to address and deal with these absentee ballots.
Yeah, you think back, this memo came out in October 17th, 2020.
After the
elections
already started.
Yeah,
the early
voting
had
and
already
mail-in
started.
voting. And it talks about, in light of the orders of the Democracy North Carolina versus State Board of Elections, and just talks about absentee ballots. The voter's signature on the envelope shall not be compared with the voter's signature on file. County boards shall accept the voter's signature on the container return envelope if it appears to be made by the voter. Meaning,
if it appears to be made,
which means appears not to be made by another person.
Well, how do you tell?
It says absence of of evidence to the contrary, the board shall presume the voter signature is that of the voter, even if the signature is illegible.
But you can't compare it with what's on record.
Yeah. So, and that came out, 2-3 weeks before the election, after the election's already started, and
total baloney. Total baloney. And then they have the chutzpah to come out and say, oh, these Republicans, it's all about disenfranchisement, and they're all a bunch of racists.
And that's kind of the model way in most states, the way things were being followed as a result of that all those Mark Elias lawsuits.
Yep.
And you had attorney generals like Josh Stein that is just dying to be governor next election. He just I'm not representing North Carolina. I'm an elected attorney general. I'm representing the Democrat Party, and he just fell right into that mess.
Before we get to the next story dealing with our new press secretary, White House press secretary, let me just say as a sidebar, if you've got kids or grandkids and they're fascinated by celebrities, make sure they follow this Amber Heard, Johnny Depp story. I've never seen two individuals that are so royally screwed up than those two.
Yeah.
I mean, it is unbelievable. These are the pop culture heroes of our society, and they are both so screwed up. It's unbelievable. I mean, Johnny Depp is, I mean, he sounds like he's already got one foot in the grave.
And, I can really appreciate his talent as an actor. You got to admit. But
he's talented, but he's a screwball.
And these people are, I mean, they're not fat. I would say, fat, drunk, and stupid's no way to go through life. But I mean, they stay chemicaled up the whole time. I mean, and they don't live. They live in a fantasy land, and it's just like they're like 50-some-year-old adolescents is basically what they are.
Are they that old?
Well, Johnny Depp's he's probably mid-50s, probably.
How old is Amber Heard?
I think she's probably in her 30s. Clark might know.
I mean, they're both screwballs, and the vile things that they did to each other.
36.
36.
Okay.
I think that's called robbing the cradle. 58 and 36. There you go. Okay, let's get to White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre. She is supposed to be the face now of the diplomat for the White House. She is the new conduit between the White House and the press. The New York Post took a look at Jean-Pierre's tweets between 2015 and 2020 and found a staggering 57 instances where she accused people, policies, ideas, or words of being racist. And she accused people and ideas. She was open as, she accused people and ideas she was opposed to as racist at least 43 times. She did it in TV appearances too. Here is a cut. Now, this is all the voice of Karine Jean-Pierre. It's all her voice, but this is probably about 12 to 15, maybe 18 different instances of her calling Republicans racist. And what's interesting about this is every one of these was aired on MSNBC or CNN or one of the streaming apps for Peacock, which is MSNBC/NBC. Here is Jean-Pierre talking about how, and this is supposed to be a fair, tolerant person talking about Republicans.
Racism, sexism, misogyny, all of that, homophobia, xenophobia, we connected to Donald Trump. Fox News was racist before coronavirus. They are racist during the coronavirus. Fox News will be racist after the coronavirus. Racism was here before Donald Trump, and sadly, it will be here after Donald Trump. It walks like a racist, talks like a racist, acts like a racist. It is a racist. And we have a racist president in the White House who really pushes his racism like a peacock. Donald Trump is the first president to have purposefully has made racism the center of his campaign, of his administration, clearly. I think Donald Trump wants to get rid of legal immigration, and it's because of people who come from brown and black countries. He might do away with DACA, which is another moral line that he would be crossing, which is something that would be enforcing, advancing a white supremacy agenda. Donald Trump was a white supremacist in 2011 when he decided to be the grand wizard of the birther movement. They want to put up these awful voter registration, voter suppression laws, which is racism, to make it difficult for people of color to vote. And voter suppression is racism. That xenophobia and racism has always played a role in outbreaks. If you look at SARS, if you look at Ebola, if you look at yellow fever or Spanish flu, we've been talking about the coronavirus and how it is an epidemic in this country, which is true. But another epidemic in this country is racism. Can we kind of dispel this whole idea that the Tea Party was about the deficit when clearly that is not true? What it was about was a reactionary to the racism in America that we were seeing at the time. And what are we going to do to actually start the process? Because it's going to take some time to uproot systemic racism. We have to continue to call out this racism.
Unbelievable. And I rest my case. I mean, what she said several times in there that this voter suppression is racism. And what is voter suppression? Voter integrity is their definition of voter suppression. She not only went after Trump and the Tea Party, she also said that Steve Bannon was a white nationalist. He is a racist. Sebastian Gorka is another racist. Attorney General Jeff Sessions was a bigot and a racist. Now, Jeff Sessions wasn't the best attorney general we could have had, but if one thing I can say about the guy, he was not a bigot and a racist. He was a fine Christian man, and I mean, could you give us some examples? I mean, you just throw this stuff out, and you just, if I say it often enough, hopefully it will stick. And it's sickening. It is sickening to hear these unfounded accusations. And by the way, those clips we just played, the other people that were on MSNBC and CNN, they were all shaking their heads. Yes, we don't disagree with that. Yeah, that's all good stuff.
Yeah, just like the seals at SeaWorld when you throw a fish to them. Mm-hmm. Clapping like seals.
Now, interestingly, I agree with the notion that there is systemic racism in the United States. But it's not the Tea Party. It's not the Trump administration. It's not conservatives. It is the ilk of Karine Jean-Pierre. Mm-hmm. I mean, these blatant, unsubstantiated accusations are racism. I mean, when you play the race card, that is racist. But here's the good news. This proves, beyond the shadow of a doubt, the emptiness of the progressive movement. They can't debate the issues. They continue to play the race card, and that's all they have.
That's it.
That is all this woman has. And frankly, the probability of why Biden chose her, a black woman, to be the new press secretary is, quite frankly, I think they said, hey, you know what? She can go ahead and play that race card, and it seems like it's got more punch if it's coming from a black woman.
Yeah, and you wait until Peter Doocy asks a tough question, and he's going to be the only one to ask a tough question. Oh, he will be the most racist.
Yeah.
And they'll make it all about race because she happens to have black skin. Another thing that's interesting that I really didn't know who this person was, but she is – I know she attended the White House Correspondents' Dinner with her, but they say she's married to CNN political reporter Malveaux.
I think that's correct. I did hear
Suzanne
that.
Malveaux.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a conflict of interest. I mean, I mean,
that's right. She's a lesbian too. If you say, well, wait a minute, she's a lesbian. But she's married to a woman.
I mean, she's sitting in the White House. She's the White House press secretary, and you got a White House correspondent.
Bingo.
I mean, you think she's going to get a little inside baseball and conflict of interest issues?
Pillow talk.
Yeah, pillow talk.
But this is like a man with a limited vocabulary who depends upon vulgar language to try to make a point.
Yep.
She can't talk the issues, and they have no issues. I mean, they have no substance. So what do they have to do? They have to depend upon calling names, and they think the race card still works. Frankly, I think it is so tired and so worn out. The people, I know that the libs in Washington still think it's effective. And unfortunately, you still have some Republicans that, please, do anything, but don't call me a racist. I mean, look, you've got to realize that this is name-calling pure and simple. Now, and you got to remember, too, that this Jean-Pierre is a one-time national spokesperson for MoveOn.org.
Oh, yeah.
George Soros.
Yeah. Everything she's done has been just radical far left and nothing. I mean, there's absolutely no way that she got that job except for her skin color. I hate to say that, but it's that they want to. I mean, Jen Psaki has done really a heck of a job considering. I mean, she's done a great job lying.
She has.
Of course, she's only getting shots from one or two people in the White House press corps. That's gotten a little bit worse lately, but they figure they can put her up there and they just say, you know what, she won't be attacked, and if she is attacked, we'll attack the person attacking her because she's black.
Yeah. No.
She's a black
and
female.
remember what Joe Biden said. This is cut to Clark. This is what Joe Biden said just a couple of weeks before the election about how he was going to be the great uniter.
I'm an American president. I represent all of you, whether you voted for me or against me, and I'm going to make sure that you're represented. I'm going to give you hope. We're going to move. We're going to choose science over fiction. We're going to choose hope over fear. We're going to choose to move forward because we have enormous opportunities to make things better. And I'm going to say, as I said at the beginning, what is on the ballot here is the character of this country. Decency, honor, respect, treating people with dignity, making sure that everyone has an even chance. And I'm going to make sure you get that.
That is what you call bloviating BS.
It was, and what was on the ballot is what Victor Davis Hanson said, is whether you wanted civilization or not. And you see what we've got. We've got the highest crime, runaway inflation, gas prices that are breaking people's back, and
economy that is on the brink of collapse.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Stay with us. Benny and I'll be right back.
We're on location today at Fabric and Home Furnishings, Arlington Village on Arlington Boulevard here in Greenville. One of my favorite places in town, one of my favorite people in town. My buddy Lisa Pendry is here. And Lisa, when I walked in this morning, the place always looks great, but there's something new here. You got a brand new room. Tell us what's going on.
We do, Henry. We are opening a Norwalk gallery, and we are so excited because this company is so custom. Been in business since 1902, built in Norwalk, Ohio. Tons of wood colors to choose from, over 900 fabric choices, and I've got a design team that can make it fabulous and help you find unique styles.
So when you say custom, a custom furniture line, what does that mean exactly?
You can literally choose the cushion, the fabric. You can even choose the thread color with this company. So wood choices, amazing fabrics, put 3 fabrics on one sofa, as much fun as you want to have.
And that's what people want these days. They want it to be exactly the way they want it, so you can get that with Norwalk.
You can.
All right, what else is new? You've always got some other interesting things going on here.
Well, we have some new fabrics that have arrived, but I've also, in this new showroom, I've added a friend of mine that's opened a company in Hickory, North Carolina called Hickory Luxe. Done business with him for a long time, but we're adding to that because he can deliver in 6 to 8 weeks instead of 8 months like some of these companies are, doing right now.
And as we always say, Fabric and Home Furnishings is a furniture store and so much more. And the so much more is you guys offer design services. I know you're a designer yourself. You have a design team here, so you can offer that full service for people.
I do. I've got the best design team ever. We do commercial design and residential. And there's a lot of decisions that go into what you want your home to be. So we send somebody right out to the house for a flat one-time fee, not an hourly fee. And we analyze it, make a friend, and make it easy and painless and fabulous for people.
Fabric and Home Furnishings here in Arlington Village. My friend Lisa Pendry. It's a furniture store and so much more. Come see them.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you farm to fork beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to fork beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Empty lots at car dealers everywhere. Except here, the selection you want is at Greenville Nissan. And during the Nissan Thrill of the Drive sales event, buy a new Nissan with financing as low as 0.9%. The versatile Nissan Rogue, the all-new Pathfinder, or gas-saving cars like Nissan Sentra and Altima. And yes, we have trucks. Buy the new Nissan Titan with 0.9% financing, or the all-new Frontier for $99 a month. Hurry to Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
He's washed his hands so many times he can now see the answers to his tests from high school.
Those aren't the right answers.
And you never know what to expect with Tom Lamprecht on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
So the Biden administration is now lying about the formula being at the border. And Representative Kat Cammack from Florida decided she was going to go down to the border because basically the Biden administration has said that Border Patrol, that they're liars, that there is no pallets of formula down there. She went down with her phone, and there's, I mean, you can go onto the Fox News website and see the video that she shot. There are not pallets of formula and diapers and wipes and everything for all kinds of kids. There are warehouses of this stuff. Not pallets, warehouses, as in more than one. I mean, does the Biden administration think that it's not going to show up as evidence that they're liars? And yet they continue to lie. They double down. I mean, they'll come back and say, oh, well, that video has been manipulated. That's obviously photoshopped. Town Hall is reporting during an interview at a conference in Dallas, Texas over the weekend, Clarence Thomas revealed when he will absolutely leave the Supreme Court. I love this. This is cut 3, Clark. This is Clarence Thomas over the weekend, when he will leave the Supreme Court.
One of the things I say in response to the media is when they talk about, or especially early on, about the way I did my job, I said, I will absolutely leave the court when I do my job as poorly as you do yours. And that was meant as a compliment, really.
I love this laugh.
I think we've neglected this side of the room.
Oh, gosh.
All the way over here, yes.
It really is good to be me. It really is.
You know what I love about this, and is so sweet about this, and I mean this in the best sense, is here is a good, honorable man who was kicked in the teeth and other places by the mainstream media and liberals. Mm-hmm. He was lied about. He was vilified. And this is what he so eloquently said at his hearing after he was belittled, denigrated. This is what he said about these bloviating, self-important, so-called tolerant liberals. Cut 4.
And from my standpoint, as a black American, as far as I'm concerned, it is a high-tech lynching for uppity blacks who in any way deign to think for themselves, to do for themselves, to have different ideas. And it is a message that unless you kowtow to an old order, this is what will happen to you.
And let us not forget who is heading up this confirmation of Clarence Thomas. Mm-hmm. The man who's now glibly calling every conservative a racist. That would be Joe Cousin Eddie Biden. I mean, this is unbelievable. And Joe, he was the guy that was going to represent all of America.
And
yeah.
I mean, that's Joe.
I mean,
Robinette.
We were talking during the break again. These people are racist.
They are.
This is the most vile, racist administration. I don't know how far you'd have to go back to put people up and say the kind of things that you mentioned during the break. What if this was reversed? What if this was reversed and a Republican was making such vile comments and accusations with no proof at all and using the race card?
Well, we'll just think about the latest Senate hearings on is that what's her name? The new Supreme Court Justice?
Yeah.
Brown? Is it Brown? I'm sorry, I can't remember her name. Jackson.
Yeah, no, that's the singer.
Well, I know,
Jackson
but I thought she had a two-word name. Yeah. But anyway,
Katinji something.
Yeah, Katinji Jackson.
Brown Jackson.
Yeah. Anyway.
Obviously, she's not really high on our list of important people.
But just think about it. Republicans that thought it was unreasonable for her not to be able to define a woman because she was not a biologist were labeled as racist for that question.
Yes.
I mean,
unbelievable.
Our news media is just, they're just in the tank for the Democrats.
By the way, Clarence Thomas also confirmed at the same conference in Dallas that damage that has been done to the court and the distrust that has now been injected into how the court operates. You know, he said that, going back, but he's the longest serving member of the court. He said, for the first 11 years he was on the court, he said it was like family. He said, now, we were partisan. We disagreed on a lot of things, but we trusted each other, and we really loved and liked each other, and we worked together well. And he said, that's gone, and I don't know that it will ever be repaired.
That's sad.
Yeah, it is. Hey, thanks for being with us. We got to run. We'll do it again tomorrow at 5 o'clock. We'll see you then. Bye-bye, everybody.
All right. What do you see when you imagine life on the coast? Is it salty or sweet? Is it refined or a bit wild? Perhaps it's the perfect combination of everything you ever dreamed of. This is the very best of the best of living on the coast. Bow Coast.
Well, folks, it's only 8 a.m. and it's going to be another hot one. Today's high is 85 degrees with lows ranging in the upper 50s. Tomorrow's more of the same, plus some light wind coming in from the northeast. Coming up at 8:30, Paul's got an exclusive.
Babe, it's 8 a.m.
Fried chicken, better with Pepsi.